Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another interesting English learning story. Today we will explore a place that looks small on the map, but quietly holds enormous power over the entire world. Imagine a narrow path in the ocean where giant ships pass every single day, carrying something that fuels cars, powers factories, and keeps cities alive. Now imagine that if this small path suddenly closed, many countries around the world would face serious problems. That place exists in real life, and it is called the Strait of Hormuz. At first glance, the Strait of Hormuz may look like just another thin blue line on a map between two lands. But behind that simple line is a story of geography, energy, power, and global tension. Every day, massive oil tankers slowly move through this narrow waterway like giants walking carefully through a small door. The entire world watches this place closely because what happens here can change fuel prices, influence politics, and even create international conflict. So how can such a small waterway control so much global power? Why do powerful nations pay so much attention to it? And what would happen if ships could no longer pass through it? To understand this mystery, we must slowly sail through the story of the Strait of Hormuz and discover why this tiny passage is one of the most important waterways on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow water passage that connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. On one side of this strait lies Iran, and on the other side lie Oman and the United Arab Emirates. At its narrowest point, the strait is only about 33 kilometers wide. That distance may sound wide for a road, but for the busy highways of the sea, it is surprisingly small. Through this narrow channel, enormous oil tankers move every day. These ships carry crude oil and natural gas from countries in the Persian Gulf to many parts of the world. Nations such as Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates depend on this route to send their energy to global markets. Without this passage, their oil would struggle to reach the rest of the world. Every day, millions of barrels of oil pass through the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, nearly one-fifth of the world's oil supply travels through this single waterway. This means that many countries far away, including those in Europe, Asia, and even North America, rely on the safe movement of ships through this narrow passage. Imagine a busy highway in a large city. If that highway suddenly closed, traffic would become chaotic, deliveries would stop, and many businesses would suffer. The Strait of Hormuz works in a similar way for the world's energy system. It is like a small door through which a huge amount of global energy must pass. Because of this importance, the strait has become one of the most closely watched places on Earth. Navies patrol the area, satellites observe the waters, and governments carefully monitor every major movement. The world understands that even a small disruption here can create large global consequences. Ships moving through the strait must follow very specific routes. There are narrow shipping lanes where vessels travel in one direction, while other lanes guide ships traveling in the opposite direction. These routes help prevent accidents in such a crowded and sensitive area. The oil tankers that cross this passage are enormous. Some of them are longer than 3 football fields and carry millions of barrels of oil in a single journey. When these giants move through the strait, they travel slowly and carefully, guided by strict navigation rules. Despite the calm appearance of the water, the region has often been a place of political tension. Over many years, disagreements between countries in the area have sometimes raised fears that the strait could become blocked or unsafe. Even rumors of trouble can quickly affect global oil prices. When news spreads about possible problems in the Strait of Hormuz, markets around the world react almost immediately. Oil prices may rise, governments may release statements, and international leaders begin watching the situation closely. This reaction happens because energy is deeply connected to everyday life. Oil powers cars, trucks, airplanes, and ships. It also helps produce electricity, plastic, chemicals, and many other materials used in modern life. If the flow of oil slows down, the effects can spread quickly across the global economy. Because of these risks, many countries have tried to find alternative routes for transporting oil. Some pipelines have been built to carry oil across land, avoiding the need to pass through the strait. However, these pipelines can only move part of the total supply, and the majority of oil still travels by ship through the Strait of Hormuz. The geography of the region makes this waterway almost impossible to replace. The Persian Gulf is surrounded by land on nearly all sides, and the Strait of Hormuz is the main natural exit to the open sea. It is like the neck of a bottle through which everything must pass. Over the years, the strait has also become a symbol of strategic power. Countries near the region understand that control or influence over this passage gives them strong leverage in global politics. At the same time, major world powers also work to ensure that the waterway remains open and safe for international shipping. Military ships from several nations sometimes patrol nearby waters to protect commercial vessels. Their presence helps reduce risks such as piracy, attacks, or conflicts that might threaten the movement of tankers. Even with these protections, the area remains sensitive. Political disagreements, military exercises, and international disputes can sometimes create moments of uncertainty. During such times, the world again turns its attention to this narrow stretch of water. Yet most days, the Strait of Hormuz continues its quiet but powerful role. Tankers move slowly through the channel, carrying the energy that fuels economies across the globe. Sailors guide their massive ships carefully through the shipping lanes, while monitoring systems track every movement. To many people living far away, the strait is an unfamiliar name on a map. But in reality, the lights in their homes, the fuel in their cars, and the products in their stores may all be connected to ships passing through this narrow waterway. This is why experts often say that the Strait of Hormuz is not just a geographic location, it is a lifeline of global energy, a small space on the map that carries enormous importance for modern civilization. The story of the Strait of Hormuz teaches an interesting lesson about the world. Sometimes the most powerful places are not the largest ones. Instead, they are small connections, hidden pathways that quietly link many systems together. A narrow waterway between a few countries now influences the stability of global markets and international politics. The ships that pass through it every day are not just transporting oil. They are carrying the energy that powers modern life. And so, while the oceans of the world are vast and endless, this tiny passage continues to hold extraordinary importance. The Strait of Hormuz reminds us that even the smallest gateways can shape the future of the entire planet. The next time you see a world map, look carefully for that thin blue line between the Persian Gulf and the open sea. It may appear small and unimportant at first glance, but now you know the truth. That narrow waterway is one of the most powerful places on Earth.